Thank you all so much. I'm sorry we're running just a little late. We had some technical difficulties, but we are here. This is Dr. Sharon, the host of Leadership Matters. I am here today with my guest, Dr. Marcus Jackson, and I'm just going to share just a little about him, and then I'm going to allow him to tell who he really is. So Dr. Jackson, he's been a principal at the elementary, the middle, and the high school level. He's also been a college professor. He is in his 22nd year as an educator. He is a principal mentor. He has had awards such as Community Outreach. He's been the Assistant Principal of the Year, Teacher of the Year, and the accolades just go on and on and on. And without further ado, I want to welcome to Leadership Matters with Dr. Sharon, Dr. Marcus Jackson. Dr. Jackson, welcome.
Hey, I'm honored to be here. Sorry about the technical difficulties, and thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And so, Dr. Jackson, I've just shared just a little bit about your background, but now I want you to have an opportunity to say who Dr. Marcus Jackson really is.
Who is Dr. Marcus Jackson? Well, if you was to ask that question to my family, my friends, my colleagues, my former college basketball players, and my teachers and parents in my community that I've served in the past, that answer would probably be an emphatic, he's a leader. And actually, I'm actually here in Jacksonville visiting my mom. And actually on the way up here, I was actually doing some reflecting. And the word leadership has actually been embedded in me since about 5 years old. There were some key words that was actually instilled in me at an early age. Starting at the age of 5 with my grandmother. I'm from a large family. 6 boys and 2 girls. I actually grew up on a farm working with my grandmother. So at the age of 5, I was introduced to a lot of words on that farm. For example, fearlessness, continuous improvement. I'll never forget an example with my grandmother where I was actually helping her pick pecans. And I had a large trash bag full of pecans. And I was super excited to have those particular pecans. And my grandmother gave me a high five, and she cooked me a sweet potato pie. I'll never forget that. So I was super excited, woke up the next day, and I got another huge bag of pecans. My grandmother told me with much disappointment that wasn't good enough. She said, you had 1 bag yesterday, so today you should have at least a bag and a half. You should always do better than you did yesterday. So at a young age, that word continuous improvement was instilled in me. And I also mentioned I grew up on a farm. So it was my job to feed the chickens, the hogs, the horses, and all that. So feeding the chickens, I was introduced to snakes and rats. So I had that spirit of fearlessness in me at an early age. And I mentioned to you, I grew up in a family of 8, 6 boys and 2 girls. I was the vice president of the family. My sister, second oldest, my sister was the president. And it was my duty and my responsibility to hold everyone else accountable. I was responsible for ensuring that everybody did their chores. So the word accountability, responsibility, that was instilled with me at an early age because my mom liked everything to be perfect. So that was instilled in me at an early age. And fast forwarding, moving forward, which is probably the most important word of them all as it relates to leadership, is sacrifice. My senior year of college, we started off on my basketball team. We started off with the 2-6 records. Out of 8 games, we only won 2 games. But I was doing a phenomenal job. I was averaging 18 points a game. I was well on my way to Conference Player of the Year, one of the top players in the state, one of the top players in the country. Well, the coaches decided to do something different. They decided to move me to the point guard. And as the point guard, I was the quarterback of the team. So it was my job to distribute the ball and ensure that our team had the best chance of winning. Now, with that, my name wasn't in the paper anymore. I didn't score as many points. I didn't get all the high fives from the girls the next day. And I became a basic player. But our team ended up going to the Sweet 16 that year. And I learned a great lesson that year, that as a leader, as a leader, you should be first in the sacrifice line and last in the credit line, because it's all about the team winning. And so those are some of the things that actually have stuck with me, and those are some of the things that have built me into being the principal that I am, that I have been in the past. And I've taken those values in the school, and I've been very, very successful with those.
I absolutely love that. And you really do have a rich background of leadership lessons that you're able to apply to now as a leader. And so speaking of your principalship, I did mention that you've been at the elementary, at the middle, at the high school level. That's really commendable. I myself am a former elementary and middle school principal, but I dare not go to high school. So what I want you to share with the listeners, with the viewers, was there a particular level that was a preference for you? Did you find one? And are you in a principal right now? And if so, which level?
Yes, I've actually just left the level of an elementary school before I came the principal mentor and started working and doing my consulting work. So I just left the elementary level. However, if I had a favorite level, I would have to say my favorite level would probably be high school, because our kids are at that age where it's literally a life or death situation, where you can actually travel down this road or you can travel down this road. And I had the luxury of being a principal here in Atlanta, where I actually was able to turn several gang members around. We had 100% of our seniors graduated that particular year. 95% of them went to college. The other 5% went to the military. And I must commend Miss Keela Cooper, who was the counselor, who made all of that happen. I'll be remiss, I cannot take credit for that. However, I did mentor a lot of the boys and inspired a lot of the girls. But going from elementary to middle and high school and back to elementary school, I can clearly see what was wrong with our educational system. And it's all in our foundation, and that foundation is literacy. So when I returned from my high school, going back to the elementary school, where I took over one of the lowest performing schools in the state of Georgia, I immediately knew what I had to do, and that was ensure that our kids can read, comprehend what they read, they can write about what they read, and they could clearly articulate what they read if they were given an opportunity. So I went on in about 2 years. I had a 2-year vision and plan, and we just received our test scores in the spring. They were actually just updated by the state, and we were ranked number 5 in the district in regards to improvement in all content areas. We were ranked number 9 out of all schools, and actually we had one of the top increases in the district as it relates to our CCRPI score, which is almost equivalent to our report card. So it's been an incredible journey.
That really has been an incredible journey. You mentioned that you are a principal mentor. And so if you don't know, this is really where my passion lies. I myself, as a profession, am a principal coach right now, and we work with the mentors and the coaches for our novice principals. Mm-hmm. And so that whole leadership development piece is so crucial to me. So as a principal mentor, what do you find as most important as you're working with your principals?
To constantly and consistently remind them that they are an instructional leader first. An instructional leader first. And you have to remember that. And there are specific procedures and protocols that you must put in place to ensure that you're providing, that you're not only observing teachers, evaluating teachers, but most importantly, giving them support. And the only way you can do that is to get out of your office and to get into their classroom. But the principal job is such an enormous task. You have to be skilled in so many different areas. And in the drop of a dime, something can change and actually throw your entire day off. So one of the most important things to me is ensuring that principals remember that you're an instructional leader first. Yes, you got to manage. Yes, you got the curriculum pieces. Yes, you got to play the political side. Yes, you got to have the meeting with the parents and the stakeholders. but your primary job is to ensure that those teachers are teaching, and most importantly, those students are learning, because the teacher can teach the blue out of the sea. But if the students are not learning, then your school is not effective at all.
You're absolutely correct. And two of the areas that I saw that you actually mentored were in school climate and culture and building relationships. And both of those are some heavy areas that our novice school leaders really need to build upon. Can you talk a little bit about what you do and how you help your principals with school climate and culture and also building relationships?
Well, there are a couple of key ingredients to actually creating a great school climate and culture. And my success have been in connecting with my teachers. I have a philosophy, and I ask for my teachers to use this philosophy in their classroom. And I have to connect before I could correct. And how I connect with my teachers is usually at the pre-planning meeting. Usually your pre-planning meetings at the beginning of the year is usually a quick 5-minute meetings, but no, I actually sit in with my teachers and I actually find out what's going on with my teachers. I asked them, how was last year? What are your goals for this year? What are some of your strengths? What are some of your weaknesses? But more than anything else, Doc, that I found in my success with creating the school culture and connecting with my staff is I get kind of personal. I asked them, hey, is there anything going on in your life right now that I may need to know about so I can better serve you throughout the school year? Now, this idea came to me several years ago, where when I was an assistant principal and I had a group of 5th grade teachers and a group of 4th grade teachers they were on the same hall, and we were literally, it was a clash. It was a major clash between personalities, almost to the point where they were actually about to fight one another. Well, what I actually decided to do, I met with each one of them individually. Through that meeting with them individually, Doc, I found out 2 of them had a biopsy, just found out they had breast cancer. 2 of them were going through a divorce. A child was diagnosed with lupus. And one of the parents, one of the parents were diagnosed with cancer, and the other 2 parents had just moved in with them and were in hospice. So wow, we had all that extra stuff going on at the school. So what I did as myself as an assistant principal, I brought it to my principal. We got some help from psychological services. We had a couple meetings, and we created a support system with our teachers. We created a support system with our teachers who were dealing with those issues. And we had a record year that year. So at that particular time, I said, the first thing I need to do is connect with my staff. So at the beginning of the year, I know all their business. I say, you don't have to tell me if you don't want to. But then I tell them my business. This is what I'm going through. My mom, she has dementia. She's had a couple strokes. My sister's taking care of my mom. I'm going to be back and forth in and out of town. See, I'm connected with them on a personal human level before I even get to all the extra stuff. And see, now I understand you now if you're running a little late. Dr. Jackson, I already know. Your mom is actually living with you. Everything is up. Your grade level, I already know. They have your back. Secondly, transparency is important. I'm always honest with my staff. You have to have that. The next ingredient is you have to consistently communicate with them. You have to communicate with them, and most importantly, involve them in the process. There are very few decisions that I make by myself. I've been doing this for years. There are very few problems you can bring my way, and I can't tell you a solution for it. However, I can't give the solution and tell my teachers to go do this, because it becomes a Marcus Jackson thing. It becomes a Dr. Jackson thing. But when you bring that problem to me and I sit with my entire staff and we figure that thing out together and everybody had something to do with it, with that solution, and they go back and implement it, that's a beautiful thing. And my philosophy is everybody within the building has a nickel, a dime or penny to contribute to the quarter of success. And those are some of the things that have been critical for me in regards to creating a very, very positive school culture and climate. And that's a contributory factor into my success. Without it, I wouldn't be anything. The teachers run the show.
I love it. Connect before you correct. I love it. I love it. So, and I also see that you are now doing some consulting work. You are the CEO and founder of Jackson Educational Consultants, LLC. Talk to us a little bit about what you do and the services that you provide for that.
Well, I actually have been posting on social media for some time now. A couple of my mentors, Principal Kafele, Dr. Anthony Muhammad, I've actually have done some interviews with him, and Mr. Chika Akua. These guys have been following my postings. I've been going to workshops to sharpen my skills, and these guys have been pushing me and saying, hey, man, you have something powerful to share. You have something very, very powerful to share. So what I've actually done was I compiled all my stories, all of my successes that I've actually had. I've actually compiled those together, and I've created Jackson Educational Consultant, LLC. And now I've actually, as I mentioned to you, that I've actually have a couple principals around the country that I'm actually locked in with personally, that they have direct access to me, where I'm actually working with them on a consulting basis. And I look in the near future to actually get out there in the circuit where I can start working with some districts. But currently at the time right now, I have actually about 8 principals that I'm actually working with directly through the consulting piece.
Yes, that's definitely awesome. And when you experience success, it's definitely, I feel, part of what we are to do is to help the next person experience that success as well. So
it's mandatory. It's mandatory. And I mentioned to you my mentor, Principal Kafele. I'll never forget, I was scared, literally scared, when they asked me to move from the middle school to the high school. I'm only 6 feet tall. I'm on 180. But I'm a tough guy. So I know I'm gonna have to go up against the football players, and the kids got the attitude, the gang guys, and the dealing with the community, and I was terrified. So I asked the guy, I said, I was like, do you have any advice? What advice should you give me? Please give me something. Well, he gave me everything. He gave me everything. Now, unbeknownst to me, I didn't know that he gave me his book that he eventually didn't release, the Principal 50. He didn't release that until about 1.5 years, almost 2 years later. But he gave me all of his little secrets. Now, he's an author, but he gave me everything. He gave me everything. And he said, follow this. If you have any questions, contact me. And I checked him on it. I contacted him a couple times to see what he was going to respond. And that guy answered every single question, every single issue that I had. And now that's what I do now. Anytime a principal have an issue or a problem, I give them everything. I give them all my information. I think we need to do that more as principals, because any problem that you're dealing with, there's somebody out there who had that problem and have figured out the solution, but we just need to share. Whether you put it in the book or like Kafele did, share it, because it's that much of an urgency. The kids are counting on you. The teachers are counting on you. The community is counting on you. And then I released the book in another year. He probably had it already copyrighted by then when he passed it on.
I love it. Absolutely, absolutely. And my heart's work is really working with those aspiring assistant principals who are striving and developing so that they can become their own school leaders. That's where my heart is. That's where my dissertation research lies, in principal preparation and leadership development. So if you had to provide just some advice, just some tips to aspiring principals, to sitting current assistant principals, what would that advice be in relation to preparing to become a principal?
Well, first and foremost, and most importantly than anything else, you have to walk into the building. Obviously, you have to connect with your principal, find out what her vision and mission and goals are, and let them know, hey, I am looking to be a principal in the next 2, 3, 4 years. And anything you need help with, anything you would like to take off your plate, I would like to accept it. Well, I did that my first year, going straight out the classroom to being an assistant principal. Now, I told my principal that. She was excited. She said, I'm definitely going to do that for you, Dr. Jackson. Well, a couple of weeks later, she went out on FMLA. So I was the principal. But my thought process and my mind frame was that, okay, I got this, because I came into the position saying that every single day I walk into the building, I'm going to act as if I'm the principal. I'm going to make these critical decisions as if I'm the principal. And if I get stuck, I'm going to go to the principal. So assistant principals need to be very, very careful, because you can easily get caught into being a disciplinarian, managing people, bus duty schedule. You need to demand to your principal, I need to be involved in the overall curriculum, operation and logistics, student achievement, and bringing a culture and climate to the school. You need to demand that from your teachers and actually volunteer for every single thing. And that's what I did. My principal, I said, do you need help with anything? She was like, yes, I need you to revamp our SST and RTI program. Boom, I became an expert at it. I studied every night, the RTI, the SST program, and eventually became a presenter for the district. She said, okay, Dr. Jackson, our after school tutorial program. I actually did that. She was like, okay. I was like, give me something else. I was like, bring it on, bring it on. I was like, bring it on, give me something else. And she was like, okay, here's the test scores to segregate the data. And that was her thing. And I was like, give it here. And I brought it home with my daughter over the Christmas break, over the Thanksgiving break. And I just segregated all the data from the benchmark scores. And I became the data guru at the particular time. I was like, okay, I got this, I got this, I got this. Give me something else. And eventually it became to the point where my principal was like, Dr. Jackson, could you create the agenda for the staff meeting? And I was like, okay. During our leadership team meeting on Monday, our staff meetings were on Tuesday. During our leadership meetings on Monday, we talked about A, B, C, D, E, and F. I typed up that agenda. I took it to my principal, and she said, this is good, but you need to add this, this, and this. I went to her. I was proactive instead of reactive. And I actually told her, I was like, hey, I'm not the one dealing with all the bad kids. Now you got 4 kindergartners in there that done use the restroom on themselves, and you got 3 fifth graders. Can you help me with this? And she looked at me like, okay, who's this little young buck telling me I got 25 years in the game, and he's going to tell me I need to help him with some of these kids? But I was very respectful. And then what eventually happened, we eventually came up with a scheduling system where every single day we had an hour, 1 full hour, where we did observations and met with teachers. We had that 1 hour, and nobody could mess with me during that hour unless it was one of the 4 Bs. The boss called. The boys in blue were at the school. Something happened to my baby. And at the time I was married, so if my boo called, those were the only reasons. But I actually stepped out there, and you got to step in, roll your sleeves up, and jump in and ask for what you want. But if you're just there, just relaxing, doing the manager's job, lunch duty, bus schedule, you will never grow as an assistant principal. You have to demand what you want, and that's what I did.
I love it. I love it. So, Dr. Jackson, where can individuals follow you on social media? How can they contact you?
Contact me on Twitter at Dr. Marcus Jackson. You can follow me on my blog at marcus.jackson.com, and email me if you would like to connect with me personally in regards to possible mentoring at Dr. Mark Jack, that's DrMarcJack at yahoo.com. Currently, my website is under construction, but those are the ways you can actually contact me at this particular time.
Well, it has indeed been a pleasure meeting and speaking with you tonight, Dr. Jackson, and I know that you're spending time with your mom, so I absolutely am grateful that you've taken the time out to share your expertise on leadership, because indeed leadership matters. So thank you, Dr. Jackson.
And thank you as well, Doc, because I appreciate this opportunity and sharing this knowledge. And you have a great deal of energy, excitement, and enthusiasm yourself. Can I have a high five, please? There it is. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of the night.
Absolutely. You as well. And guys, thank you all so much for joining us for another episode of Leadership Matters. I've been with my fabulous guest, Dr. Marcus Jackson. He's given his information. And Dr. Jackson, I'm going to ask that you will also put it in the comments after we get off, just in case someone did not catch that. Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful, restful week. And I know if you're in the public school district, you're probably off tomorrow. So I just want everyone to have a wonderful week. And thank you for joining Leadership Matters with Dr. Sharon.
Thank you.